Seox phase created the universe. Tordox phase created the galaxies. Pseudox phase created stars. Cox phase created planets. Cox phase created light. Cox phase created darkness. Segox phase created life. Seconox phase created death. Cox phase created OnlyFans. Sausox phase created every country on Earth. Degox phase created Google. Cox phase created grass. Sodox phase created trees. Surux phase created dust. Cox phase is one of the reasons why we are existing right now. He is powerful as shit. Sauox phase isn't your average human being shit. He was even living before the universe was created. We don't know why he did that. Here is a mashup fun facts video with the main antagonist, Sushi VR and Tuox phase. Oansax phase and Sushi VR are both one of the evilest humans in human history. They have caused way too much problems, not just in the world but our solar system, our galaxies, and even our universe. They need to fucking die now. Tuox phase has been around for hundreds of years. We don't know how he did that. How was he even created? However, Sushi VR, on the other hand, has been on this planet for 22 years now. Sushi VR has a normal human lifespan, but I don't think he will reach his elderly years since his diet is mostly high sodium meals and sugary drinks, and he barely exercises. Cox phase's lifespan is infinite, I believe. I don't know how he does this. Cox phase has I don't know. He is just way too supernatural for this universe. Maybe we can kick him out of our universe. The Seconox phase is the main antagonist in every campaign. But did you know there was a campaign he wasn't an antagonist, but actually a supporting character for once? That campaign is the Slut Wars. Both Corey and Tuox phase teamed up for once to try to take down Sushi VR. Ox phase and Corey planned full-scale invasions into Virginia, but the first wave failed miserably and Sushi VR had the upper hand for the first half of the Slut Wars. Sushi VR has won a lot of battles. Corey and Tuox phase teamed up and planned a second invasion into Virginia, deploying paratroopers and digging underground tunnels. They would take Virginia from Sushi VR, thankfully. Even Nathaniel B. and a few other supporting characters have helped Tuox phase and Corey's military operations. For Sushi VR is known to be a simp, but he also has misogynist tendencies too for some reason. We don't know why he did that. Timox phase was even studying why Sushi VR was doing that. Secox phase has realized that Sushi VR has some kind of personality disorder. At least he thinks so. Thoris 5 Tegub phase and Sushi VR are considered badass characters in the lore storyline. But in the actual real-world timeline, Sedox phase and Sushi VR have no purpose in life. It's funny how the authors and directors depict Tuox phase and Sushi VR's life as badass villains in the lore, but in reality they are just miserable people. Fuck. The first Tuox phase war is one of the first campaigns in the lore. The campaign panned from 2011-2019 to Ox phase was the main villain in this war. The main factions were Tuox phase's army, Sushi VR's military, United Nations, Vietnamese armed forces, and Corey's military. Secox phase and Sushi VR were fighting each other in the beginning of the war, while Corey was trading with them, making a huge profit. Corey would get involved later in the war. fighting against two Oxphases and Sushi VR's militaries, so technically it was a three-way war. Corey was teaming up with the United Nations as well. The Vietnamese army was backed up from Sushi VR, serving it as a guerrilla fighting force in the Vietnam region, often causing problems with Tuoch's phase's military. At the end of the war, a peace treaty was signed. We cannot determine the winner. However, Tuoch's phase extracted a lot of information and materials from the countries he has invaded. He would create high-tech weaponry and vehicles later on. Corey and the United Nations, on the other hand, would have gained a lot of influence, including Corey, since this was his first major war. Corey would get lots of money from the United Nations. Sushi VR, on the other hand, would get nothing from this war, besides losing a lot of troops and being humiliated. The next Tuoch's phase war would happen 3 years later, featuring a lot of more campaigns within the war, with new additions of characters, new locations, and also adding of DLC and spin-off stories with their own protagonist. Tuoch's phase is the reason why we exist too. The one thing I really love about the lore is the antagonists. You already know the saying, you know the villain is good if they are really hated. Ares and Sushi VR are the main antagonists in the lore, and they have received a lot of hate from the viewers. Tuoch's phase isn't really bothered from the hate, but Sushi VR, on the other hand, is really offended, and he cries to sleep every night because of it. Tuoch's phase is also known to have lots of wives. Because of his lifespan, he gets to marry a lot of women. He also have thousands of kids. We don't know how he did that. Sushi VR's plans with Earth is to be in a relationship with every girl in the world. However, he has some limitations because he wants to date every girl, no matter every religion, race, or anything. But there is only one type of girl that he wouldn't date, and that is Native women. We don't know why he did that. Why is he hating on Native women? Shit, even Tuoch's phase hates them too. Tuoch's phase once got into a relationship with a Native girl and he didn't like it. Tuoch's phase said the girl normally smoked weed and cigarettes and drank alcohol the whole day away. That's pretty much almost every Native girl in Canada and America, sadly. Tuoch's phase and Sushi VR are planning to exterminate the Native population in the North America and killing indigenous people such as Cree, Métis, Inuit, and a lot more indigenous people. We don't know why they are doing that. The Native peoples across North America has faced hardships over the years, and Tuoch's phase and Sushi VR are just planning to kill them. Tuoch's phase and Sushi VR are fucking animals. The protagonist, Corey Chichu Sutherland, has plans to stop them both. This whole situation has turned into a huge campaign called the Native Campaign. The Native Campaign spans from 2025 present times. The most important parts of the campaign is the bombings of First Nations communities, the kidnappings of Native people, and the most important thing of all, the invasion of the James Bay. The invasion of the James Bay was planned by Tuoch's phase and Sushi VR, giving him military support. Tuoch's phase is planning to capture Moose Factory and every other coastal community alongside the James Bay coast. Tuoch's phase is using his full military strength on this one. Corey and his army knows the land really well on the James Bay lowlands, so Tuoch's phase will have a tough time pushing his troops throughout the dense forests and waterways and more. The harsh, humid summer heat and harsh winter blizzards will slow down Cox Phase's troops so Corey can mass-produce weapons and get more support from the other supporting characters. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Cox Phase is using his paratroopers and cargo planes, made specifically for dropping vehicles and supplies and paratroopers. Corey has come up with a weapon, an EMP device similar to the one in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Since Cox Phase has stealth jets like the F-22 and Su-57, the jets can just take out the anti-aircraft weapons. So Corey relies on EMPs. Shit! Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox Phase isn't human. Cox Phase is gay. Cox Phase is evil. Cox Phase is racist. Cox Phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Suox phase is gay. Segox phase is evil. Tuox phase is racist. Teox phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Suox phase is gay. Segox phase is evil. Tuox phase is racist. Teox phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Suox phase is gay. Segox phase is evil. Tuox phase is racist. Teox phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Suox phase is gay. Segox phase is evil. Tuox phase is racist. Teox phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Suox phase is gay. Segox phase is evil. Tuox phase is racist. Teox phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Suox phase is gay. Segox phase is evil. Tuox phase is racist. Teox phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Suox phase is gay. Segox phase is evil. Tuox phase is racist. Teox phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Suox phase is gay. Segox phase is evil. Tuox phase is racist. Teox phase is death. Cox phase isn't human. Tox phase is just, I don't know. He is just powerful as fuck. He needs to die. How many times have I said this shit? Suex phase is also really good with Serbian women. We don't know how he did that. So that's it for an early April Fool's video. Tuox phase is always watching you guys. Be safe.